Hi guys, we've teamed up with North Shore Toyota and Turbosmart, and what we're doing here is we are comparing the latest offerings versus what a lot of guys would have been running 10 years ago, and we're going to show you the performance gains difference on the dyno as far as torque, power, boost response goes, and also just a bunch of the features and how far technology has moved compared to where we were at 10 years ago. This particular car is a petrol, it's not a full drive, it's a 2JZ and a Batman, and I'll show you over a couple of the features, and then we're going to do some back-to-back testing on the dyno and just really trying to get at that technology and what the new offerings are on the market. The first thing I noticed with this turbo was the extreme weight saving over the T04Z. So this has got a 310 stainless exhaust housing, it's got an Inconel turbine wheel and a 7+7 compressor wheel. It's significantly lighter, like this is lighter than like a little 44mm T2 turbo. It's obviously got your provision for a speed sensor, anti-surge front cover, and another thing that I really like as far as clocking goes is it's got a V-band exhaust housing, and what that means is this particular car, the motor's set back a long way, and when you've got a normal T2 or T3 or T4 manifold, you're really stuck with how that manifold's clocked. However, with this V-band, it gives us the ability to rotate the turbocharger to get the exhaust housing facing in a direction that we can manufacture the exhaust and have our intercooler plumbing optimal to suit that vehicle. Another thing from like a race car perspective that I really like is the fact that it doesn't have a water-cooled core, but I know it's like something that a lot of guys struggle with, and keeping it nice and simple is good. Another thing that I like is this actually comes with the AN feed and drain fittings, and obviously the V-band as well. That's another thing I've found with a lot of turbochargers, they don't actually include the dump pipe V-band, and that can be another thing that you have to go and source. These 6-boost manifolds have got a real nice merge collector in them, and we're going with the Turbosmart 50 gate. One thing I do like with all this Gen 5 on kind of stuff is they do include a big bunch of springs with them. If you don't have enough springs there, it can really be hard to get your boost control optimal. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a run on the dyno the same day and then move over, get everything fab to suit this new setup, and then overlay them. I can tell you now the T04Z, it makes big power, but she doesn't make peak torque till 6 grand, and we're going to be all in on this thing as low as half of that RPM. So they're definitely a turbocharger that's worth keeping an eye out in that performance market if you are looking at upgrading in the future. So Tony's responsible for building some of the best drift cars in New Zealand from 20 plus years ago. He was at the very first round of D1, probably the first person to put a SR, first person to put a JZ in most drift chassis. The T04Z at the time would have been the best turbo on the market for that vehicle, probably, eh? Yeah,
it was. We got suggested this turbo from a source that Rossano was getting his turbos from at the time, and me, Kurt and Steve Sol was pretty much the first ones to get them in this area, and it was a bit of a trial area for us, and it worked out fine for Kurt with what chassis was he running? The R34 chassis at the time, and it seemed to favour that chassis quite well. Steve Sol had the Skyline at the time, which has worked fairly well on that because the exhaust housings there were 3 different size exhaust housings. I think Kurt got the largest, Steve got the middlest, and I got the smallest. And with the FD chassis, it just didn't seem to suit the chassis as well because it had quite a bit of lag, and you really had to hammer the engine to get it to create boost to make it do what you wanted, and it was just a little bit hard on the engine. And at that speed, you had a fair lot of chassis speed going to the corners, which was too fast for the car, I think.
And I think we had a similar turbo on the 13B turbo, and it was incredibly challenging to drive because of the aggressiveness of that power delivery. And I know with Claire's LS, like as far as that bottom end torque, you can have far less power, and on a tight track it just makes the car actually better, faster and more drivable. So I guess you're hoping as well, like this thing, if we can get that power in at half the RPM and still make very close to a similar amount of torque, and as you know, bringing that power in early means it'll actually normally make a more total torque. I know with drag cars they're actually putting bigger turbos to make them laggier, so it makes more top end power and holds the motor together. However, we really need that drivable power these days, and it'll be real interesting to see how far technology's come and how we go.
Oh yeah, it'll be very exciting to get a little bit of bottom end power in this RX7 because it's just never had it, and like I say, it's just very difficult to drive with no bottom end power. So yeah, very excited to see what this turbo will bring and how much bottom end power we'll have to drive it.